For shooting our opening title sequence, we used the Canon 600D, a camera that I'm very familiar with as I am one myself. We mainly stuck to one person filming, that person was me, as I have the most experience with cameras and I'm currently studying photography. Despite my experience, I filmed in 25 frames per second rather than 24 frames per second, which made our editing process very slow. This also meant that when we decided to reshoot, I had to make sure it was in 25 frames per second, otherwise when editing it would have caused big problems. The Canon 600D has a flip screen, which is very useful when filming in awkward areas and angles. Also, the camera explains what each setting does, making it an easy camera to get used to, and this is perfect for beginners as well. We decided to take the rule of thirds in consideration when filming, as we had to add titles to our footage and wanted room for them. This also showed that we knew what we were doing and that we had thought through each shot.
When we were editing, we encountered some problems in deciding what shots we wanted to use and what shots we thought weren't relevant to our opening title sequences. During the logging process, we colour-coded each bit of footage by whether it was good quality and whether it be used. However, when it came down to editing, we had to use footage that had a red or yellow rating. For example, one shot we used in our opening titles was actually an error shot, as the tripod was set so the camera couldn't pan. However, we added an effect to make the shot look jumpy and distorted, as this was an accompaniment to the character of Frankie and her erratic behaviour during her. When we added the titles, we placed the majority of our titles over the top of shots to fill in any space that wasn't eye-catching. For example, we added Frankie's name onto her shoulder during a shot of her writing a list of names that she later ripped out. We placed the title of our thriller mimeograph onto a black background so nothing could take away from the title. In the background of our titles, we added an electric buzzing noise to make titles, which moved erratically anyway, to look as if something is interfering with them. This added to the thrill in the opening title sequence.
Firstly, as a group, we researched different title sequences so we could get a rough idea on what our aim was. We gained ideas after finishing our prelim with Suspected Killer. We researched many titles that could work with the idea of our piece, but many we found had already been used or were very common. We then discovered mimeograph, a less common word that people may not necessarily know. This means a printing press that works by forcing ink through a stencil onto paper. We came up with a brief synopsis and equilibrium as our 3-act treatment. The influences for our psychological thriller were Fred and Rosemary West. Even though we did not use all the details from these styles, our fictitious one was Dexter, as this was very closely related to Frankie's life, as he works in the forensic police force.